You see, there's one thing that people ask me about a lot with all the training that I do. You know, it's upwards of 15, maybe even 20 hours a week. But there's one constant that people ask me about on a very regular basis, is how do I recover? How do you recover from all of that training that you do? You put in so much time, so many hours in. How are you able to keep going? How are you able to keep doing that? What is your recovery routine? They ask me things like, do I do foam rolling? Do I do stretching? Do I use, what recovery garments do I use? How much sleep do I get? How much do I eat? And all of those are valid factors and valid points and valid things to be asking. Well, hopefully today in this video, I can clarify some things for you about recovery, what I do, and how I'm able to keep doing my training every day, and how I'm able to stay consistent, don't get injuries, knock on some wood here, and keep going.
And in this video, I'll be sharing with you 6 different recovery techniques, plus one extra bonus one towards the end. So if you want to see what that is, make sure you stick around.
But first, we got a 3-hour bike ride to do this morning. It's currently 7:30 in the morning, and it is New Year's Eve. So Happy New Year to you. Let me get into this bike ride. I'll film a little bit of this, and then I will get on to what I do for recovery.
Un rayo del sol cambia el tiempo en el reloj. Hoy mis deudas reciben perdón. Pago por el show. Me siento feliz porque si no soy yo, pues quién. Todos caen a mi lado. El freno lo arranqué. Me siento feliz porque yo no dudo mi power. Te burlaste de mí, se acabó. Trata de festejar, celebramos el bienestar. Tantas estrellas brillan, quiero un carro que corra más. Nada me rompe, no, nada me rompe.
You see, the first thing is, not every workout that I do is all out to failure. Not every workout is an RPE, rate of perceived effort, of 10. They're not all hard. There are some workouts in there that are more base building or lighter. I'll give you an example. On Tuesdays, on a normal week, I do an hour easy run in the morning. I don't have any sprint efforts in it. It's just an easier recovery run, base building. So not every workout, despite that I show virtually only harder workouts because it's for the video. And if I just showed the easy workouts, it might get a little boring. But not all of my workouts are like you see on camera. There are quite a few easy ones. You know, it's sprinkled in. I have at least one easier, actually I shouldn't say at least, I have one easier run, one easier bike, and one easier swim pretty much every week. The only time that wouldn't be the case is taper week, when the workouts are going to be significantly easier because I'm preparing for a race. But that's for a future video. Basically what I'm trying to say is not all of my workouts are hard. They're not all extremely hard where I'm going to failure. There are some like this. Granted, I am just in the warm-up in this one right now, and in 22 minutes time I do have sprint efforts in this one, but whatever. But that's the first thing, active recovery. This easier pace, lighter intensity allows blood to be moving, allows blood flow through the muscles, and it flushes out lactic acid that's built up within the muscles after hard training sessions. It's really that simple. So that's the first thing, active recovery.
Trata de festejar, celebramos el bienestar. Tantas estrellas brillan y Marte me espera mientras rodea. Nada me rompe, no, nada me rompe. Tantas estrellas brillan Quiero un carro que corra más.
All right, so the second thing I want to talk about here is foam rolling. Now, this is something I do before my workouts and I do also after my workouts. Only endurance stuff, so I only do it after bikes and runs. Foam rolling is a little bit of a mixed bag with recovery. It's not necessarily been proven that it has enormous benefits with reducing muscle soreness, but it does promote blood flow because of the deep myofascial release that it provides, especially when you go slower. So typically what I see people do in the gym, if they're using the foam roller, is they'll go do something like this. They'll go here, it's not in the frame, I'll show it real quick, okay? They'll go here and they'll do it kind of quick, but that defeats the purpose of the foam roller. What the foam roller actually does and what you want to do with it to promote this deep myofascial release that it provides the muscles with is actually here, and you go super slow. Try to really dig it in onto the muscle and keep as much pressure as you can on top of that muscle there that you're trying to hit. So just nice and slow over the muscles. There we go. Okay. Now I do this typically. I'll do 15 for each muscle group. So I'll do 15 on the calves, 15 on the hamstrings, 15 on the quads, and then I'll do 12 on each IT band. After my workout, before the workout, I'll do 15 on the calves, 15 on the hamstrings, and 15 on just the front quads. I don't do any of the IT bands. Why? I don't really know. To be honest with you, I just don't do it. It's not super beneficial. It's by far, in a way, not the most critical component of my recovery routine and what I do. But combining everything together that I'm going to talk about in this video, it adds up. And when you add all of these things up, that's how it helps recovery so much. So it's not that this is a big component of my recovery, but it is part of it and it does help. How much it helps? Well, that's to be determined. And, you know, I was in the process of actually writing an article about foam rolling and I never posted it. But foam rolling does have its benefits. It does, but it's not as crucial as some of the other things that I'm going to talk about today. But next up is a recovery method that is grossly overstated and may not actually be as beneficial for recovery as you might think. Stretching. Now, stretching is a form and a mode of recovery that you need to view from a different angle. See, now people, when they think of recovery, they think about reducing delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS. So they think when they do their workout, right, and you go and do another workout the next day, but your muscles are sore after a hard training session. Stretching does not actually mitigate or reduce delayed onset muscle soreness. It doesn't. In fact, there's been over, I believe, 17 studies, and I actually wrote an article on this, that over 17 studies have found inconclusive evidence to suggest that stretching leads to any substantial reduction in muscle soreness post-exercise. So then you might be asking yourself, why am I stretching right now? Why am I doing stretching if I just said that it's not an effective mode of recovery? But you see, it is. It is an effective mode if you view it from the correct angle. So instead of viewing it as something to reduce delayed onset muscle soreness, what you should actually view it as is an injury prevention method. Now, as I said before, I did write an article on this. If you want to go check it out, it's on the app Medium. It's called The Stretching Dilemma. Basically, I go through the two different types of stretching, static stretching and dynamic stretching, which one is good for which use case. But I also talk about and I debunk the myth of stretching being a good form of recovery. It is, but it isn't at the same time. Like I just said, view it as a form of injury prevention. Now, following exercise, the muscles will have amplified quantities of blood circulating around. So meaning they're more malleable and more pliable when you go and do some type of stretching. I'm easily able to touch my toes now because I just did a 3-hour bike ride. There's more blood circulating around. It means that there's more blood flow through the muscles, making them more malleable, okay? When the muscles are more easily manipulated for stretching, it means the range of motion can be increased, as I just demonstrated. And an increased range of motion then leads to a decreased risk of injury due to the muscles being able to lengthen a greater distance. So what I mean by that is I'm now able to be more flexible, okay? When I'm not warmed up, I probably get to about here, okay? Now that I'm warmed up and I've just done my bike ride, which was 3 hours long, I can reach my toes quite easily, okay? What that does is it means that it improves your flexibility. Now, improved flexibility means that your muscles can lengthen a greater distance when you're in training. So when you're doing a run, your muscles are able to flex more and expand more without an increased risk of injuring it because it's lengthened a longer distance. Therefore, by doing this stretching, I'm not reducing soreness. What I'm actually doing is reducing my chances of getting injured, which allows me to stay consistent. Now, knock on wood that I don't get an injury, but that's how I utilize stretching to the best of my abilities. That's how I use it to maintain consistency, to show up day in and day out, and continue putting in a lot of effort and a lot of work. I view it as a form of injury prevention rather than something that reduces delayed onset muscle soreness. But the next form of recovery may or may not reduce delayed onset muscle soreness. Okay, so how is food part of my recovery then? Okay, so the next part of my recovery is food. My food intake, what I have. Now, in the previous video, should be the previous video by this time, I will have done a video on what I eat in a day. And I think the total calories for that day was around 2,600 calories, which is a calorie deficit for me. I burn considerably more than that, especially with a day like today. I've burned almost 3,800 calories so far, and it's 245. But anyway, how is food part of my recovery routine? Well, I have protein, okay? So protein helps rebuild the muscles, of course, because when you are working out, you break down your muscles. Carbs, I don't have, there's bread over there, but bread, I got the oranges, apples, bananas, etc. Things like that, pasta, breads. Now that helps replenish glycogen stores, and it also helps to replenish energy. And then we've also got eggs, protein. I didn't put out any fats, but fats help reduce inflammation, fats, antioxidants. So I have salmon once a week, as you saw in the previous video. You have to think about it like this, okay? It's part of my recovery routine. Why am I including this? Because having a higher intake of calories means that you have more energy so that you can go into the next workout with more energy. So you can have a higher output. Whereas if I didn't have this, I would not be able to put out as much energy in my workouts. And on top of that, obviously, proteins are comprised of amino acids. They're comprised of amino acids, and they're not obviously considered a primary source of energy. Obviously, with the proteins, that helps build your muscles back up because proteins are built of amino acids. And amino acids help to restore and repair broken down muscles from I almost said the wrong thing, from the workouts that I do. So that's just a little bit on how food is part of my recovery routine. I will go more in depth in this in another video, but there are still two other parts of recovery that are pretty crucial to my recovery routine from my training and how I'm able to stay consistent. And the last one, no, we'll do three. There's technically three. I should include the last one in the one before that, but I'm not going to because it's a secret one. I mentioned it earlier. So if you want to see what that is, stay tuned to the end of the video, and then you'll be able to see what I use only on occasion for recovery. But next up, I think, is one that's fairly obvious. One that I didn't mention at the beginning because I wanted to keep you guys hooked. But the next one's fairly obvious.
Sleep. Sleep is obviously a very important part of recovery.
Sleep is very crucial to me. As you might be able to tell, I'm a little bit tired now. It is 10 o'clock when I'm filming this, and I normally would be in bed, but special circumstances for right now. But yeah, I try to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. But sleep is very important. It helps with muscle repair, tissue repair, which then helps with making the muscles adapt more from the training. And better sleep equals better performance, really. I mean, it's really that simple, to be completely honest. There's other things like growth hormones and testosterone that also do elevate during sleep, with cortisol elevating if you get bad sleep. So I try to keep the cortisol down, keep the growth hormone and the testosterone up higher, because that helps increase or decrease the amount of time needed for recovery. Honestly, it's really that simple. Your body is at rest when you're sleeping, and it's just the most transformative form of recovery out of them all. And lastly, as well, you can't out-train poor sleep. You just can't. There is no deficit sleep. You can't make up time from sleeping. You know, if you sleep on a Tuesday, you get 4 hours, but then you want to make it up on the weekend by getting in, instead of 8, you get in 10, 12 maybe. That's a big stream, but you get my point. That doesn't actually have an effect. There's no such thing as sleep debt. Once you've done that 4 hours, that's 4 hours that you've lost. It's that simple. Yeah, make sure you prioritize your sleep. It's by far the number one natural way of improving your recovery. By far, it is simply the best thing you can focus on. But unlike sleep, the next one isn't exactly free. No, it isn't at all actually free. It's one of the only forms of recovery that I have that I'm sort of inconsistent with. I sometimes use them, I sometimes don't. And we're going to get into that right now. Recovery garments. Now, this includes multiple different things. I mean, right now, I'm in the Therabody Recovery Air Jet boots. So these are just a pair of compression pants, and they basically just compress my legs, and it makes lactic acid move. It promotes blood circulation again. A lot of this stuff is about blood circulation. That's what I found to be a very prominent component of recovery, blood circulation going through. But it's not just this. I do also have the Therabody Power Dot, which is like an electric stimulator where you put it on your leg in a specific area, or whatever you want, actually on your body. You put it on a specific part, a specific muscle, and then you shock the muscle with it. I'll throw up a video of it. There's also my massage gun. I've also got specific calf sleeves that compress the calves. What else have we got? I mean, it can even be stuff where I have my smart goggles, Therabody smart goggles, where it just covers my face and it relaxes and soothes my head for sleep. So these I'm currently using right now. I have it on 75 millimeters of pressure. I don't remember the exact terminology for it, but I sit in these for about 45 minutes to an hour. I just sit here watching TV or whatever and relaxing. But yeah, I use these every single day here at home. It's the most consistent recovery garment that I use. Massage gun I don't really use as much since it is percussive therapy and it's not exactly been proven to be the most effective. But I do still occasionally use it. The Power Dot, again, I use it occasionally. Most recovery garments outside of these compression boots, I only use on temporary or occasional basis. The only time where that would change is if I went on vacation, where I don't bring these. If I don't bring these on vacation, I'll use the other ones more frequently. But yeah, that's recovery garments. I'm gonna stay in here for a little bit, and then yeah, that's it. Now I'll get into my little secret last thing that I use for recovery. Not all the time. It's not very frequently. In fact, the last time I used it was a couple of months ago, and the only way you would know it is if you knew me. But so let's go find that out. Okay, last but not least, the secret that I've been keeping here for my recovery. This is one, it's one that is for sure out of the ordinary, and please, I'm gonna put a disclaimer right here. Please do not take this as advice to use. This is just showing you what I use for my recovery. I don't use it all the time. I only use it when I really, really need it, and I am like completely out of it and have another hard session coming up quick. So the last component of my recovery is this right here. So this, well, I actually call it horse. What it actually is, it's a veterinary liniment. I don't know if I said that correctly. Hopefully I did. But it's for horses. It's to help horses soothe their muscles and relieve joint pain. It is extremely potent. If anyone watching has ever heard of, so if any of you out there have heard of BioFreeze, this is basically the same as BioFreeze, but it's like 10 times stronger than BioFreeze. It will bring a tear to your eye if you get it anywhere near your face. I highly recommend not using this. Please don't use it. It was a recommendation for me, but I'll show it anyway. I'll show it here. Please do not. This is not medical advice. I am absolutely not recommending this to anyone. I'm just showing you what I use for my recovery on occasion. This is one of the other inconsistent ones that I use. I don't use it all the time. I only use it, oh God, the last time I probably used it was a couple of months ago, after my Ironman race, because my legs were dead and they were completely out of it. I use that. It is actually helpful. It does really reduce muscle soreness. I have no idea what the effects of it are though in the long term. So please do not use this. A disclaimer again, do not take that as medical advice. Do not, you take that of your own will, because that is strong stuff. That stuff is very potent. This stuff is very potent. But anyway, I digress. I figured I should mention that as a special thing, because if there's people here watching that know me, particularly as soccer players, you'll know I've used this before. And every single time I've mentioned it to someone that I've used it, their eyes are like, are you kidding me? What? That's for horses. And it's literally, it says it right there. Veterinary purposes. Yeah, let's see. Exactly. Yeah, so please don't take that as medical advice. Whatever. I thought it'd be a funny inclusion for a recovery video. But anyway, I'm going to end it here. That's all that I use. So I'll just recap real quick. Active recovery is the first one. Then you've got foam rolling, stretching, the food that I eat, recovery garments, sleep, and this stuff right here. That's all of the recovery equipment and stuff that I use. Not one thing from this itself is going to be massively beneficial. The only one that I could maybe say that for is sleep. But all the others combined, they don't really, individually, they're not going to have a huge effect on you. But when you combine them all together, you start to see a little bit of a difference. You start to see your energy improve, your energy levels improve. When you wake up from a good night's sleep, you see that you feel a little bit more rested, you feel better, and you feel like you're able to perform at a higher level. That's what I do. There's nothing else I really have to say about it. That's all. I'm just showing you what I use and what I do. But if there's one thing that you want to take away from this video today, I really hope it's that you prioritize sleep. Sleep is a very important component of recovery. It's one that I neglected for a while until I took a masterclass on it by Matthew Walker. Very, very informative. and it really shows you the effects of good quality sleep and how bad sleep and having reduced sleep can actually really negatively impact your recovery, not only physically but also mentally. So that's a very good one. I definitely would recommend giving that a watch and giving that a listen. But that's all I have for today. That's all the recovery that I use. Hopefully you could take something from it and apply it to your own recovery routine. But yeah, I've dragged this on a little bit too long, so I'm gonna get going here. But as I always say at the end of virtually every video, train hard, train frequently, find results. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.